What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about what it really costs to travel to national or regional kayak fishing tournaments. All right, so when we're talking about entering any kind of kayak tournament outside of your local clubs, one of the biggest concerns is the expense of doing so. There's been a lot of social media threads about how much does it really cost to travel and compete in these tournaments outside of your costs like entry fees and everything. How much is the total cost to get out there and do this? It's not as expensive as you might think. There's some little tricks you can use to save money. I'm going to go through a trip I recently had. I thought it was a good opportunity to record my expenses and do this video, kind of explaining to you guys what it really costs if you decide you want to get out and travel a little bit in 2022 or sometimes towards the end of 2021. There's a few tournaments left. So let's get into it. All right, so with any regional or national tournament, obviously the cost to enter is going to be higher than your local tournaments. Get over on Tourney X or iAngler or Fish Chaos, you can kind of find tournaments that you might be interested in. Well, I usually compete in things that are listed on Tourney X just because that's where the BASS or Bass Nation Kayak Series is listed, and the Hobie Bass Open Series. Those are the two that I travel to compete in. So you get on Tourney X, you find the tournaments you're looking for, and right on there, the entry fee should be listed. We got a few examples here where you can see the BASS, the Bass Nation Kayak Series, entry fees are around $250, and the Hobie Bass Open Series are $260. For this most recent event, I entered a Hobie Bass Open Series event up in Lacrosse, Wisconsin. It was $260 to enter, so entry fees, $260. All right, so next, to get there, you're going to have to drive, and gas has gotten a little more expensive, so that's going to be another large expense, or another expense you're going to have to account for. For this event, I traveled 10 hours from Arkansas to Wisconsin. It was well over 1,000 miles round trip, and the fees for fuel, for me, I drive a little four-cylinder Subaru Outback. It does a great job hauling my kayak trailer. There and back, $190, or we'll round it to $191 with change. So $191 there and back, not too bad. So there's your fuel expense. So if you're going to travel to a tournament and you're going to kayak fish for multiple days, you're going to have to eat. That's your fuel for being in that kayak and pushing it around the lake or river, wherever you're at. So for food, I typically will go to the grocery store and buy a travel pack of snacks, case of water, some bread, peanut butter, lunch meat, whatever, to try to mitigate how much food will cost, because obviously eating out a lot is going to cost you some money. But I also enjoy the local restaurants, get to see a lot of friends at these tournaments, so I do go out to eat with them and have a few dinners out. Try to eat breakfast and lunch on my own with stuff I bring, or at the hotel, or wherever you may be staying, and then eat dinners out with friends a couple nights while I'm gone. So the total cost for food for my trip this time was $141. That included eating out at some really nice restaurants a couple of nights, 3 nights actually, with friends, having a couple beers and stopping for snacks here and there at some gas stations. And that also includes my grocery bill. So $141 for food for the trip. All right, also included other expenses in this, which included my fishing license for a few days out of state, some parking fees for launching at some ramps up there in Wisconsin, a few little knickknacks here and there that I forgot, my deodorant, things like that, where I had to buy it. Then also, you never know what you're going to run into on these trips. I lost my paddle. I didn't have it clipped, and I was hauling butt out of the storm that blew in when I was pre-fishing. I didn't have it clipped, and it blew off in the river. It's the second year in a row I've lost my paddle in Lacrosse. But so I had to go buy a new paddle. I ran over to Walmart and bought a little cheap paddle just to get me through with my Old Town Big Water PDL. You always want to have a paddle just in case. So I went and bought that. That was cheap, was $35, but still an expense I wasn't counting on. So other expenses on top of my food, gas, and the entry fees were $80 after I rounded them up. And you might be thinking, well, there's one thing you're missing, which is accommodations. Typically, a hotel will run you from $50 to $100 a night, depending on where you're at. Campsites, if you split them with people, can be $10 to $30 a night. For me, I have a little deal I run with using credit card points to pay my typical bills here at home. I don't carry a balance. This is only for the discipline, and I have another video talking about how to save money on trips like this using credit cards and other ideas. But I paid $0 for my accommodations. I stayed in a hotel for 4 nights. It was a Candlewood Suites with a nice kitchenette, Nice bed, a recliner in the room. Very, very nice, clean hotel, which was nice to get rest at a tournament, and I paid $0. So with all that being said, my total for the entire trip to get there and back, eat, stay, entry fees and all, was $672 for the whole trip, which I don't think is too bad. So you can be creative with how you get these things paid for, how you budget your money while you're gone. And, if you can keep the bill under $1,000, I think, 4 or 5 tournaments a year or 2 to 3 tournaments a year is definitely doable if you plan ahead and set a budget and are mindful of what you spend. So there you go. Hope that gives you a little insight into what tournament travel and going to a national and regional tournament can really cost you. As always, thank y'all for checking out my channel. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe before you go, and hit that little notification bell if you don't mind. Thank you, guys.